Today, I'm going to talk about how to do our next assignment, all right, which is the artist assignment. All right, so I bet you're wondering, how do you begin? Well, the good news is you've already done some of the research and you went to the library and checked out a book, did you not? And you read that book and you took notes, did you not? And you read an academic article and took notes, did you not? All right, so that's the research that you've done already. I want you to do some new research about your artist. So, one source I want you to go to is your textbook. Use the textbook. Go to the part of the textbook that talks about your artist or your artwork or the art style and learn from that. Also, you can go to Smart History or the Art Story and you can go there for some other research. These are great places to go to, especially for this semester, 1304. Another place to go to is YouTube. YouTube has great videos about artworks and artists. However, there is a lot of AI slop on YouTube. So be aware of AI slop and getting your information from YouTube. For example, do you guys remember Caravaggio, the bad boy of art history? All right, I was watching a video about Caravaggio, and it said in the video that he would often get into fights, correct? Yes, he would often get into fights, but the video said that those fights would often lead to fatalities. He killed one person. So be aware of AI slop, right? It's not entirely accurate. AI just wants clicks. That's all AI wants. It doesn't care if it's accurate or not. Okay, so what information are you looking for? So let's pretend that this is the artwork that you chose for your beast. You are not going to use this artwork on this assignment. What I want you to do is I want you to give me some general knowledge about your artwork's artist. For example, in my case, that would be Leonardo da Vinci. Then I want you to find 3 artworks that are by that artist that are not your chosen artwork. So I need to find 3 other artworks by Leonardo da Vinci that's not the Mona Lisa. So if I was doing this, I would choose Lady with an Ermine, I would choose the Last Supper, and I would choose a Madonna and Child. And then I would talk about how each of these is a good example of your artist and what the context is for the artwork and what's the story behind the artwork. So when you're doing your research, you're going to be taking more notes. And then when you're done with that, you're going to go ahead and write your paper. This is a 2-page assignment. Most students, when they do this assignment, they'll use the first page to write about the artist, and they'll use the second page to discuss the 3 artworks. Also, on this assignment, you are not to include an introduction or a conclusion. I just want the meat of the information. That's all I want from you. I don't want any fluff. We're going to use the same formatting as before. You're going to write your last name up here for the header and the page numbers. I'm going to give you a template. The page numbers will already be there. We are going to use footnotes on this assignment. The title of this is going to be your artist's name. For all of the titles of artworks, you're going to write this in italics. And after the first time you mention the first artwork, you're going to put behind it a figure 1. But every time you mention it afterwards, you don't have to write figure 1. The first time you mention the second artwork, you're going to write figure 2. The first time you mention the third artwork, you're going to write figure 3. Like I said, we're using footnotes, and you use footnotes anytime you're using somebody else's information. I want a minimum of 3 footnotes on this assignment. And I'm giving you videos on how to create these footnotes. There's a video for if you're doing this on a Word document. There's a video if you're doing this on a Google document. After your body of the work, do a bibliography of the sources that you used for this assignment. I want you to have about 5 sources on this. I want you to read a little bit of your textbook and source that. You've already done your library book. You can write that. You've already done your article. You can do that. And then a couple of internet sources. the art story, and smart history.
If we want to read more of our book, do we need to take more notes on it?
Yes, because you'll be citing it. Yeah, and then you'll need to know like where to cite it. All right. On this bibliography, the first line of each entry is not indented. The second line and every line after that is indented. With each of the entries, it is single spaced, and then the space between the entries is double spaced. I want you to include high quality photos of your artwork. And you already know how to get high quality photos of your artwork. Just please, please, please make sure that you're getting high quality photos, because when you enlarge it and it looks all blurry, and that's the photo that you have on your Beast final product, I will be taking points off. So you'll have 3 images, 1 image per page, expanded to fill the whole page. You're going to write the artist's name. You're going to write the title of the artwork in italics. You're going to write the date and then the style of the artwork down below. All right, I've already talked about the style. We don't need to go over thug notes again. Let's see. The instructions of this, the written instructions of this, are in D2L. And then this will be the last assignment of this semester where you will record a video to go with the written work. Please, please, please record the video in D2L. There's a lot of students who record it on their phone and they try to attach it as a separate document, and sometimes it works, sometimes the computer says no, So just the easiest way to do it is just to record it as you submit your written work. There is an icon that looks like this, and you hover over it, it says add video note, and then you record yourself discussing this artwork. Once again, you are not allowed to look at any sort of notes when you're telling me about what you wrote. Right? This is your defense against me accusing you of using AI. Right? If I'm reading your work, sounds like AI, I'm going to go and look at your video, and if you do a great job on the video, then I'm cool with it. It shows me that you learned something. Right? Okay, so for grading, if you turn this assignment in on time with no mistakes, you get 100. Now, also, when these are called previews, when it's due, it's called a preview. You're turning it in, I'm briefly skimming it, and I'm looking for major flaws. And if I don't see any major flaws, I'm going to give it 100. I'll be aware, I'm not reading this intently. I will do that when I grade the final product, the end product, the beast that you turn in. If I find mistakes then that I don't see now, it's up to you. Right? So just make sure you do a good job. Make sure that it's as good as you can make it, so I don't count off points then. We can take care of that now. Does that make sense? All right, let's say you turn it on time, and there's lots of mistakes that I need to make corrections. I'm going to make corrections on it, and I will give it a 50. If you see that you got a 50 and you know that you turned it in on time, so go and look at my corrections. And then if you show me that you have seen my corrections, you can do a selfie with the corrections. You can do a thumbs up with the corrections. You can do a screenshot of the corrections. Or you can just say, hey, send me a message, Mr. Reese, I've seen the needed corrections. All right, and then I will change the grade to 100. Does that make sense? If you turn it in late with no mistakes, I'm going to give it a 50. If you turn it in late with mistakes, it's going to be a 0.01, and I'm going to give it the corrections. Same thing. If you show me that you've seen the corrections, I'll bump it up to a 50. And then if you don't turn it in, obviously it's a 0. Once again, finally, what do you mean by late? You have a 23-hour grace period after it's due. So beginning with less than an hour late up to 23 hours late, you have that extra time to turn it in, and I will accept it as on time. Once it says 1 day late, I count it late. Okay, if you see an 11.11, that is the code for CME. There's something really wrong with this, and I need to talk to you and explain it. It's too much to type it in for the corrections. All right, so I'll need to. And then if you make changes and turn it back in, and it's still a problem, it's a 12 by 12. That's a code that you need to CME, and so on. So, but once you get it fixed, it'll be 100 or 50 or whatever it is. All right. Okay, so I also want to say that once the final product is turned in, I will no longer accept previews. Yeah, each semester after they turn in, like the whole point of a preview is to fix things before you turn in the beast. All right. So, anyways, all right, that is it for. Are there any questions about this assignment?